What up, all my fight fans? So, Terrence Crawford already had mentioned something about fighting Tank Davis. I talked about that in a previous video. Go ahead, check it out. But in this little interview that he did, he also talked about a potentially matchup with whatever you have him at, 1, 2, or 3 pound for pound king, Canelo Alvarez. But there's a catch. There is a catch. He is saying that he is willing to fight Canelo Alvarez, but he is willing to fight Canelo Alvarez at 158 pounds. That is between the middleweight and the junior middleweight division. So guys, what do we say to that? It's interesting. It's a very interesting fight. I personally don't see it happening at that weight, only because it's been a very long time since Canelo Alvarez has fought anything below 160. We know he fought 160 against Triple G a couple years back. His last Triple G fight was at 168, but I believe the second fight was at 160. So that was quite some time ago, quite a few years ago. Canelo Alvarez is pretty much campaigning at 168 and even at 175. So for him to drop that much amount of weight, I necessarily don't feel like he would do that. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. For Terrence Crawford, depending on when the fight is, I don't know necessarily what he walks around in. He doesn't necessarily look like a super big individual. I feel like he maybe walks around on 165, quite possibly. You know, where Canelo, I think he walks around at 175, close to 180. So he's a really, really big boy. So it would definitely be a weight mismatch, you could say that, because if they were to meet in the middle at 160 or 158, you know, Crawford is going to rehydrate to maybe 165, while Canelo is going to rehydrate to 180. But again, it's a big weight cut for Canelo, and it's a big weight jump for Crawford, because just because you walk around at that weight doesn't necessarily mean you're going to really do good at that weight. It's a lot more weight. He fights at 147. That is literally 11 pounds heavier. Now you're going to be 11 pounds heavier moving around in the ring. You're used to moving around in the ring at much 10 pounds lighter. So now trying to move around in the ring 10 pounds, 11 pounds heavier, it's going to take the cardio away. It's going to put the pressure on your legs. It's going to do a lot more to you. Where Canelo, he's used to that. I think the hardest part for Canelo is going to be that weight cut. But he's used to fighting around at that bigger weight. And he's used to fighting bigger guys. Like, you look at all his opponents were all monsters so far. Much bigger than Terrence Crawford. So it is a big risk for Terrence Crawford. Not necessarily a risk as in he might lose or he might win or whatever, say whatever you want to say, but it's a huge jump. You're not necessarily trying to like maybe get your feet wet a little bit and fight somebody under Canelo somewhere in the middleweight division. You're going after the big fish. You're going after the big shark, and you want Canelo Alvarez right away, which is smart. Smart because, you know, if you lose to someone other than Canelo Alvarez in that division, there's no Canelo Alvarez fight. And we all know Canelo Alvarez is the big payday, the big money man in boxing world outside of Tyson Fury. So with that being said, is it a good fight? Again, it's similar to what I mentioned earlier regarding Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Davis. I feel like it's a big risk and not really a big reward for Canelo Alvarez, because if he just so happens to beat him, he beat an undersized guy, which he's not necessarily going to get full credit. And if he loses, he lost to somebody who is quite considered pound for pound best right now, and is quite considered one of the greatest of all time. So it's really not a big knock, but at the same time, it might ruin a few other fights for him. So I don't necessarily see the risk. It could be a really big fight, a really ginormous fight. But I would personally want to see this fight happen maybe in the next couple of years instead of it happening much more sooner, because it gives Terrence Crawford a chance to make the weight. Terrence Crawford a chance to actually see what it's like to fight someone even at junior middleweight before you even fight somebody who's originally fighting at 168, and give you a chance like, hey, this is what it's like to get hit by someone like this size, this weight class. And this is what it's like to move around with this much more muscle and this much more weight on you. because it's not as easy. You know, when you're at a different weight, you get tired faster, you wear out faster. So it's something that you got to get used to, and it's not something you can get used to overnight. So guys, let me know in the comments on what do you think about this fight. Do you think Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez should fight each other? Do you think Canelo Alvarez is gonna do at that catch weight at 158? Do you think even Terence Crawford is even gonna do in the junior middleweight class before he even goes up to middleweight class? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.